Listen closely, because what you're about to hear isn't just another ancient story, it's one of the most breathtaking displays of courage the world has ever known. Picture a battlefield, two nations trembling, and one giant whose footsteps alone made grown warriors shake. And yet, a young boy, armed with nothing but faith and a simple sling, would walk straight toward him. How? Why? And what did he know that everyone else forgot? Let's step right into the heart of this incredible moment. Our story begins in the rolling hills of ancient Israel, where sunlight poured over the pastures like gold, and the wind danced across the valley. A young shepherd named David spent his days watching over his father's sheep. He was the kind of boy who would sing to God while tending his flock, the kind who saw greatness not in weapons or strength, but in trusting the one who made the heavens. While others saw danger in the wild, David saw opportunities to protect, defend, and grow braver every day. Far away from David's peaceful hills, something far darker was brewing. The Israelites and the Philistines, longtime enemies, found themselves preparing for war once again. Two armies set their camps on opposite mountains, staring each other down across the valley of Elah. The air was thick with fear, tension, and the heavy silence before battle. But the Philistines had something, or rather someone, that no one on the Israelite side was ready to face. Every morning, just as the sun rose, the ground began to vibrate under the weight of an enormous warrior. His shadow alone stretched across the valley like a nightmare. His name was Goliath of Gath, nearly 10 feet tall, armored like a moving fortress, muscles like iron ropes, and a voice that thundered across the mountains. His presence drained the courage out of every man who heard him. He marched forward with a smug grin and raised his weapons high. Then he shouted words that echoed through the valley like a curse. "Choose a man to fight me. If he wins, we will serve you. But if I win and I will, then you will serve us forever." Every soldier in Israel trembled. Some hid behind shields, some pretended not to hear, and some simply stared in horror. No one dared step forward. Even King Saul, the tallest man in Israel, felt his heart sink in his chest. He knew he wasn't ready for a monster like this. Meanwhile, miles away, David was living a life so ordinary, so simple, that he didn't even know a giant was challenging his nation every morning. But God knew, and God was preparing him in ways no one could see. When a lion once snatched a lamb from the flock, David didn't run, he chased it. When a bear attacked, he didn't back away, he struck it down. Not because he was strong, but because he trusted God with every heartbeat. One day, David's father Jesse called him. "Take this food to your brothers," he said. "See how they're doing at the battlefield." David didn't know this small errand would change the course of history. He reached the camp just as Goliath was stepping forward for his daily shout. The giant's voice roared through the air, mocking God, mocking Israel, and mocking anyone who dared believe in hope. David paused mid-step. his heart burning not with fear, but with anger that someone would dare insult the living God. He looked around. Soldiers grown, armored, experienced men were shaking. Some whispered, "No one can beat him." Others said, "The king will reward anyone who kills the giant." But no one stepped forward. David's voice cut through the panic. "Who is this giant that he dares to defy the armies of the living God?" His words startled everyone. Some laughed, some frowned. His older brother Eliab glared at him. "Why are you even here? Aren't you just a shepherd boy?" David didn't argue. His heart wasn't on human opinions. His heart was fixed on God's honor. Soon, word spread that a fearless boy was asking questions. David was brought before King Saul. Even the king blinked in disbelief when he saw him. "You're just a youth," Saul said gently. "He's been a warrior since before you were born." But David stood firm, his eyes steady. "I've fought lions and bears," he said. "God delivered me then. He will deliver me now." Saul hesitated, then slowly nodded, realizing faith of that size was something rare, something powerful. He placed his own royal armor on David, but as David tried walking, the heavy metal felt wrong, too big, too slow, not meant for him. He removed it and set it aside. "I will fight him," David said, "with what God has given me, with quiet courage." He walked down toward the brook and picked up 5 smooth stones shaped by time, water, and patience. Not because he needed 5, but because preparedness is wisdom. He placed them in his pouch, gripped his sling, took a deep breath, and stepped onto the battlefield. Goliath spotted him and let out a mocking laugh. "Am I a dog that you come at me with sticks?" He roared, his armor clanking as he moved. He cursed David, cursed Israel, cursed everything that David believed in. But David didn't flinch. He stepped forward, his voice strong, unwavering. "You come with sword, spear, and javelin, but I come in the name of the Lord Almighty, the God of Israel's armies, whom you have insulted. Today, he will deliver you into my hands." The giant's grin faded. Something in David's tone sent a chill through the air. Suddenly, David began to run not away, but toward Goliath. His feet pounded the ground. His hand reached into his pouch. In one fluid motion, he placed a stone in his sling, spun it faster and faster, the air whizzing with the speed of faith. Then dash release. The stone flew like lightning, guided by the God David trusted. Before Goliath could even lift his shield, before the Philistine army could shout, before Israel could breathe, the stone struck the giant right between the eyes. The impact echoed. Goliath's face froze. His massive body swayed. And then, like a collapsing tower, he fell forward with a thunderous crash. The ground shook. Dust rose. Silence swallowed the valley. David walked forward, calm, steady, fearless. With the enemy's own sword, he finished what God had started. The Philistines' laughter turned into terrified screams as they fled. The Israelites surged forward with renewed courage, chasing their enemies out of the land. What one boy did in the power of God changed the battle, changed the nation, and changed the world. But the story doesn't end on the battlefield. As David returned to the camp, soldiers surrounded him with awe. Some stared at him like he was a miracle. Others whispered that God's hand was clearly upon him. King Saul watched him closely, unable to look away from the young shepherd who defeated the enemy he himself feared. David wasn't looking for praise. He wasn't searching for fame. He wasn't trying to prove himself. He simply trusted God when everyone else forgot that God was still on their side. Word of the victory spread through Israel like fire. In every village, people told their children, "A shepherd boy defeated a giant today." Mothers smiled. Fathers shook their heads in amazement. And young boys everywhere believed that courage wasn't about size, age, or armor. It was about faith. And David? He simply returned to playing his harp, singing songs of gratitude to the God who had always been with him in the fields, in the wilderness, and on the battlefield. This story has lasted thousands of years because it isn't just about David and Goliath. It's about every moment you face something that looks impossible, every problem that feels bigger than you, every fear that tries to silence your courage. Giants come in many forms: doubt, failure, fear, intimidation, challenges that seem too heavy to carry. But like David, you don't face them alone. The same God who strengthened a shepherd boy strengthens you. The same God who guided a stone guides your steps. The same God who brought down a giant can bring down whatever stands against you. And sometimes your biggest weapons aren't swords or shields, they're faith, humility, and the belief that God can do extraordinary things through ordinary people. When you remember that, no giant is too big, no valley is too dark, no battle is unwinnable. David didn't win because he was strong. David won because God was with him. And when God is with you, every giant falls. So whenever life feels overwhelming, whenever you feel small, unprepared, or outmatched, remember the shepherd boy who walked onto a battlefield with nothing but a sling and unshakable trust. Remember the God who never left his side, and remember that the same God walks with you today.